Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pail, steel toe boots.
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure.
Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
There we go. What's going on, guys? Welcome in, Garden Report peeps. Bobby Manning at the Garden. He's got work to do, so I'm going to let him go soon. We're going to get Bobby's take on things. Sherrod Blakely here as well. Josue Pavon. Yeah, we might see him. But here we are. Another one in the books, 126, 110. This has officially gone from, hey, this is going to be a competitive series. The Pacers are tough to, well, the Pacers are pesky to, now it might be Halliburton's out, and this one is a cakewalk, and Celtics should sweep or win this one in 5. So it was fun having the playoffs for a full game, which is what we did in game 1, but it's over. Book your tickets to the finals, guys. Book one for each city. We don't know, but Dallas or Minnesota, but this is over. It's hard to not start with Halliburton. Halliburton supposedly tweaked his hamstring. If he injured the same hamstring, if he did anything to a hamstring, it's hard to see him playing anytime soon. Even the minor aggravation is going to be a few days, and I think it's going to be too late here. So we'll see what happens. But Bobby, give us your take on the game here, and then we'll kind of we'll do a eulogy for the Pacers here because they might be cooked.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that before it flips home court. Certainly if Halliburton's out, you're going in that direction. But they're getting up every time the Celtics go up double digits there, and they faded late in that game. You really saw it the moment it happened when they left Pritchard wide open in the corner for 3 and just gave up on that defensive play. And the Celtics didn't.
Off of a make.
A make, yeah. That was how does that happen?
The whole right side of the court was open. It wasn't just Pritchard. The whole right side of the court didn't have a person on it. It was like they're carving out like a new neighborhood. You know, there was nobody there.
Yeah, especially since they had performed better defensively than you would have thought in the series up to this point. So they were competitive for, 2.5 quarters. Again, you trail after 1, you give up that bad run in the halftime. But the third, Celtics much different. They let Brown take control of the offense, which I think was smart given what he was doing compared to what Tatum was doing. He showed an appropriate level of aggression, getting downhill, getting out in transition. Interesting again, and it was no surprise because the Celtics had talked a lot about it. They're going to embrace the pace of this series. And so far, they're the efficient, effective transition team, despite the Pacers being known for that. So I think that's a feather in Joe's cap. Of course, you finally see them go small here, as we've been begging them to do. I know Shea Brissett gave them an excellent game after not playing since probably March at this point. So for him to come in there and do what he did was important. Pritchard, who was very tough on himself this morning, said he went back in the film and saw that he wasn't in rebounding position. He had a bad defensive game in game 1. Really gave a lot of criticism of himself at shoot-around this morning. Came out when, whether it was those offensive rebounds, the 3 you mentioned, he had one in the first half as well as a big one in the second half, went right to the rim after that wide open 3 they gave him, and then got 2 offensive rebounds that set up a Tatum 3-point play to start the 4th. So I thought Pritchard was excellent too. A big bounce back game for the bench overall here. And I didn't get too hurt by Indiana's in this one, I thought. You limited Halliburton. Siakam was out of this world to start the game, and they stayed with it. It looked like they adjusted and put Brown and Tatum on a little bit more after that 12 for 14 start. So you saw him down more there, and it was off to the races.
Hold on, we got a lot. We're gonna hit JB absolutely with the all NBA FU game following his snub. Jason Tatum, lot to be not happy about. And then the Luke Cornett injury and the ripple effects and some small ball. We'll get to that, but here's Joe Mazzulla right now. Joe doesn't sound good. We're gonna remove that. Joe's a little muddy right now. We'll get to Joe in a little bit and see if we can fix that. Hold on, let me tell those guys.
That was gross.
Yeah. Okay, we'll check on that in a little bit there on Missoula. Maybe we can jump back in and listen to some of that. But let's get to some of these things in order of Everyone's going to be like, talk about JB. Yes, Brown was ridiculously good tonight. So we'll lead with Brown so everyone doesn't freak the hell out because it's fine. But he was kind of everything here, first half, third quarter. He really did everything that you needed
it's the story
him to
of the
do.
playoffs for him. Yeah,
and right now,
incredible.
and again, for all the people that don't talk about Jaylen in the chat, no, we talk about what's interesting, okay? We do. We talk about what's interesting, but a lot of us, myself included,
what's interesting,
picked Jaylen Brown as the conference MVP before the conference finals MVP.
Wave the flag, John.
Began.
Wave that flag.
So I'm gonna tell you what I'm about first. I want to quickly say, as we welcome you into the Garden Report, we're brought to you by Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, and of course, Game Time, the #1 ticket marketplace out there, mobile ticket marketplace app. So we just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors here. And Bobby, let's start with Brown, who did everything that Brown does well, which is be decisive, attack, hit ridiculously tough shots. I thought his decision-making was off the charts tonight. I don't think he forced. I mean, look, a lot of his shots look forced because he's used to taking these contested pull-ups that are really only he can do, and he can do well. But a lot of his attacks, when he went towards the basket, if it wasn't there, he stopped. There wasn't a lot of forcing from him tonight. Everything was just really in the flow.
Yeah, and you saw him start to creep in that direction at the start of the third. Kind of got jammed up on the ball, isolating a little too much there, and then passes to his left to get White a three that led to, I think, 10 points for White in that third quarter. So he was able to get a dump off pass to Brissett for the dunk in that quarter. Again, not a maestro facilitating performance by any means here with the 2 assists, but once it was clear he was the one that was sort of attacking head on every time, and the Pacers adjusted a little bit to that, he was able to get a couple good assists there at the start of the third that sparked their runaway quarter there. So he was big in the second. They go on that 17-0 run, big part of that. We got Brett Hampton here.
2-0. Hey, Brett. Hey, real quick, I'm going to listen for Joe here. No.
What's with the mics, yo?
Yeah,
this is Gary.
Nope. Sorry, guys.
We hear Gary's voice, but we don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, it's Gary. Womp, 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 womp.
It's the Charlie Brown teacher. No good. No good.
But the key here, John, they went up by 13 a couple different times. The Pacers answered it every time. And then finally in the third, by involving White, by going small, they were able to pull away and extend that run into, again, not a 20, 30-point lead here, but you can't expect that against this team. To keep them at arm's length like they did, what are we talking, like 14, 15, 16 at the end of this game? I think the biggest lead was, let's see what it got up to here, 20?
I think it was 19 or 20, something like that, yeah.
That's what you're looking for. Keep them at arm's length, sustain your runs, limit theirs, because they're going to keep coming back. Like, what frustrated me early in this game, John, and we talked about in the text chain, you go on that great run at the start of the second, you give up a 7-0 run right away. You build up another 13-point lead midway through the quarter. You relax to end the second and give up the 8-1 run, including the Siakam wide-open runway dunk right before the buzzer. So that was frustrating in the first half. They didn't do that in the second half. They just kept attacking. Obviously, Brown's approach is a big part of that here. And listen, I'm not going to give him a ton of credit tonight, but I do say, Tatum deferring to Brown was important midway through the game. And then once the ball naturally got to him, he took advantage.
It really was the whole
later.
start of the third. Actually, I'm going to try one more time. I'm being told by the crew
his
here.
presence, his energy, his athleticism, just gave us. I think he had a dunk, got a steal, got us out in transition, couple rebounds. So just he plays with such a high level of intensity and energy. It's big for us.
Joe, to take care of home court and go on the road, a place where you've been successful this postseason with a 2-0 lead, what does that do for the confidence of the group?
I don't know. I know only thing we should be thinking about is they were down 2-0 a series ago and they brought the game 7 and they do a great job protecting their home court. They're undefeated at home. So it's going to take a lot more than confidence to get the job done. And we have to focus on the details and the execution and the mindset, the right things that go into playing against a team like this at home. And I know they're going to respond, and so it's up to us to do the same.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
All right, Joe Mazzulla there.
Yeah, and I'm going to head out
Will-
shortly, but
Yeah.
I'm not ruling Indiana out either. Similar to what Joe said there, you can't. Like the second you think they're done, the second you relax and sit back and rest on a 1 run or 2 runs or 2-quarter wins, whatever it is, they're just going to keep attacking. And they're so relentless going to the paint that any level of relaxing defensively lets them right back into a game. So you can't do it. And again, Halliburton's out. It looks pretty murky for them, but they've won their minutes this season without Halliburton on the floor, namely because of adding Siakam. So you can't rule Indiana out. You can't. You got to
Wait,
keep
why
attacking
can't you,
here.
for real?
You actually have to go and close this series out, and they've done that in other series, especially going on the road.
Did we just lose? Oh, there.
Oh,
Bobby, so for real though, why
I'm back.
can't you? Why can't you? Why can't, like, if Halliburton's out, this is, I mean, fine, puncher's chance, absolutely. This is a team that had to play above its level to stay competitive, or hope that the Celtics kind of reverted back to their crappy habits or getting into their iso ball or whatever it is. But this is a really tough one, and I know we say this, and we're not stupid. We know already, Sherrod. We saw this happen the last time when they played the Pacers and Halliburton goes out with the original hamstring injury, and the Celtics were up big and they pissed away a monster lead. So we saw it happen in one game. Fool me once, right? I don't think that's going to happen again.
No, I don't see that. If Halliburton is out, it's a wrap. It becomes a matter of when, not if, the series is over. At that
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
to Bobby's point, they're not going to just roll over and just play dead. That's just not who they are. They're not built that way. In this game, usually when the Celtics win a game like this, where there's in the playoffs, we've seen the other team have certain things that work well in defeat that they could build on. And I didn't see that in this game. I didn't see. I mean, Pascal Siakam. He's a former All-Star. This guy's won a championship, so him going off is nothing unusual. He's done that before. There wasn't anything that jumped out in this game near the end that makes you think that, man, if Indiana can do that one thing better, maybe they can make this a series. And that's a problem for them. Listen, when they blew game 1, they blew the series. They absolutely blew the series because now they are going back home with zero margin for error, and you may very well be without your best player, and you're playing a team that is seemingly at their best on the road. So when you start looking at all the different factors and all the different analytic points that you can look at going into game 3, it's looking more like this thing is going to be 3-0 by the end of this weekend in Celtics favor.
Yeah. It's I don't know what people want here. Like, do we want to say it's not over? Like, as you said,
It's not over, but it's a matter of when, not if.
This was a massive uphill challenge here for Indy to begin with. So again, we'll see what happens. Here's the thing: if something's bad enough for a guy to miss the rest of the game, almost immediately be ruled out, usually they don't come back one game later. And like I said, is you really don't have cushion here. If you can't get him back, you can't get him back by game 3, you're in a lot of trouble.
And it felt that Rick Carlisle waved the white flag way earlier than his teams normally do. I mean, when all of a sudden, when I see Doug McDermott out there, I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I think most people forgot he was still in the league. And so he's out there playing, and you're like, damn, you're matching him up with Jaylen Brown. Indiana is in trouble. They came into this series, looking, in a whole world of trouble from the beginning. And the thing that the Celtics did in this game that we did not see as much of in the first game was they played hard. They had that stretch where Indiana could not score. And when they're locking up defensively the way they were able to for extended stretches against a team that's as offensively powerful as Indiana's in a world of trouble because you can't match that defensively because they're not built to defend. So Indiana, they're in a world of trouble. And if you're the Celtics, the good thing about this is not only are you moving through this series in as quick a time as possible, but it gives you a longer bandwidth, if you will, before the NBA Finals, because that Dallas, Minnesota series, at least 6 or 7 games that thing is going to go, and that gives you more time to have no games without Porzingis for him to get healthy. And so that's, if you're the Celtics, this is working out about as good as you would want it to, with the lone exception being the play of Tatum. This was worse than game one. Worse than game one. Because when he wasn't making shots, not only was he not making shots, he was getting cooked defensively. There was a graphic at one point where he was, I think, was 1 for 7, 1 for 8 shooting, and guys that he was defending were 5 for 7 when he was guarding them as a primary defender. If you're not making shots, that's one thing. Like, all great players have stretches like that. But when you're getting cooked defensively by a team like this, where the matchups that he had were matchups that, defensively speaking, were break even or in his favor. This was a bad game,
Hey,
even if the numbers looked otherwise.
hey, how many times are you going to put this comment in the tweet before I ban you? Like, Jesus, stop spamming the chat. I said it was 7 before. Halliburton's out. Their best player's out. They pissed away game 1. The complexion of this series has changed dramatically. They had a ropes and threw game 1 away, completely pissed it away, and now their best player got hurt. They're in deep trouble. They're reeling now. They really pissed it away.
Whatever number people
And
had
then we
before
said it
this
after
game.
game 1. I think that really, we disagreed a little bit, right? And that I wasn't 100%, but it did feel like that kind of game where it's like, we'll never, like, that was it, man. We knew it. That was our shot, and we just gave it to them. And when you've got to do a lot of things right and have things go your way when you're the Pacers and they're the Celtics, and you know that there's a big talent disparity there, and you just gave away game 1. I don't know if it had an effect in terms of how they came out and played, but you kind of know, like, shit, man, that we got problems. And again, like I said, you compound that with the Halliburton. I'm not really sure what they can do here. Look, we've seen the Celtics play down to their competition. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we have. But I thought this was a game where Indiana, I thought they had a great game plan to start the game. They were right there with the Celtics throughout the first, led for a good chunk of the quarter. But one of the subtle things that we haven't talked about yet was Joe Mazzulla made game 2 adjustments from the outset.
Small ball.
Yeah, he went small ball, and maybe that had a little bit to do with Luke in the hand or the wrist injury, maybe. But even before that particular adjustment, the way that they utilized Al Horford and took Al off of Miles Turner and had him on Pascal, I thought was brilliant. Because remember, you look at this game, people are going to forget that in game 1, Miles Turner lit him up for 18 in the first half. Miles Turner was a non-factor this entire game. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Mazzulla made that subtle but very important adjustment on how you defended him, or specifically who you defended.
They did, and I think like a lot of what Turner got in that first game, they would live with also, So I think that's how it kind of went there. But Turner was really quiet, and you did see Tatum starting out on him, and they changed things up a little, but he was really ineffective all night. And then I think what kind of broke the Pacers a little bit is at the end of that third quarter when the Celtics went really small and the Pacers went really big. They had Turner, Toppin, and Siakam all out there in the front court, and the Celtics were small, and the Celtics started to distance themselves there, and that was kind of that. So, Joe made an adjustment in that regard as well, where he did go small ball, but he was kind of forced into it because Cornette went down. I don't know what's going to go on here with Luke. And whether that returns, but and I don't want to be happy about an injury, but I am glad that they did go to that lineup for a little bit there with the small ball, because you can against the Pacers. You can even do it with Turner out there. You really can.
Yeah, what I'm just still surprised at is that you literally have only one guy who knows that locker room intimately, and that's O'Shea Brissett. And that's the one guy that now your hand is almost forced to play him. And I don't think it was a coincidence that O'Shea in this game had the best plus minus on the Celtics roster. It was plus 18 in the 12 minutes that he was on the floor. And again, a lot of that, he didn't score a ton of points, but he knew where to be, when to be there, did a lot of really good things out there. And that was, again, one of the keys of this game for them is just getting guys in the right place at the right time, making the right plays. With the exception of Tatum, who first half non-factor, second half, meh, it's pretty good.
Pretty good. Is the chat ready for the Tatum conversation yet? Or are we not going to have the Tatum conversation?
Oh, boy.
We'll have.
Well, do we want to give some more love out to some other folks besides Jaylen? And then
look, two things happened. I think Al got his rest game after his heavy minutes game. That actually was a good thing. What's funny with Luke going out? You figure Al would get smoked in terms of the amount of minutes he would play, and he didn't. He only played 25, and he had a quiet-ish sort of game. Everyone was great. Another phenomenal Holiday game. It's super efficient, but again, he drops 10 dimes. He was terrific. It's nice to see White getting it going offensively and confidence. He was driving the bucket. He was driving to the basket. He hit his little floaters. He was quick trigger on the three when he had the shot. He looked like the best version of Derek White without needing to jack a zillion shots there. They kind of needed all of it because Tatum was so freaking bad for 2.5 quarters. They really did. I mean, he was legit borderline a decoy at the beginning of that third quarter. And then he finally got it going a teeny bit there. And you could see the mental aspect of Tatum is so interesting as you see the defense and the offense kind of going hand in hand there. I mean, he was getting cooked defensively, cooked by Nebhart. They were like hunting him for a period. The stats they put up when he was the defender, the one-on-one defender, and I don't think it finished very well. It was a total opposite of last game where every single second he was off the court, they were horrible. The defensive rating with Tatum off the court was like 140. So like he showed out last game. He was horrible on defense tonight, and he was sulking, and they were getting blown. He was getting blown by. It was a really weird game from him, and I think maybe he's putting too much pressure on himself. I'm not entirely sure what it is. We'll talk a little bit more about him. Tatum's coming to the podium. We also have, I think Holiday's going to be at the podium, and of course, Mr. 40. All NBA, 16th best player in the NBA.
Number 16.
Number 16. It's like winning the NIT. He just missed it. And again, legitimate beef for him not getting in there. And I think whether it motivated him or not, I bet it did. I'm curious if he gets asked about it, whether he talks about it there, but we'll get that as well. Real quick, we want to tell you all about Prize Picks, our terrific sponsor here over at the Garden Report. And we got our guy, Mike Cadlick. He's trying to give you some info on the Prize Pick stuff. You can follow him, and he's given his picks prior to the games. But for you out there,
nice.
You want to get involved in the action. America's #1 fantasy sports app, more than 3 million members. Easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. More or less, 2 or more player stats. Watch the winnings roll in. That's all you have to do. Up to 100 times your money. You want to get funky with it, and you can go up to 6 picks, which is crazy. Turn 10 into 1,000 just like that. Basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever you want. So make sure you check that out. Community plays if you want it there. There's you can play with like celebrities if you want as well. There's injury insurance. There's a lot of cool things that you can, take part in there. And again, you are protected if somebody does get hurt in the first half. I don't know if Halliburton would have helped you tonight. But all you have to do is download that app, use the code CLNS for a first deposit match up to 100. Once again, download the app. CLNS is the code, first deposit match up to 100. And so on we go with this. I think we have to get back to Tatum. At the end of the day, the stat line's going to look okay. 9 of 20. That's okay.
Yeah,
the threes, they're not falling. I mean, not only are they not falling, they're not even close. Some of these are empty calorie stats. That stint at the end of the third quarter was valuable. That's when he kind of energized for the first time all night, and they needed it. He was a little bit more decisive there. He got to his spots a little bit quicker. Everything up until then was dog shit in every capacity, almost inexcusable. And again, he's going to slide the national guys are going to go at him and everybody's going to get all hurt over it and be like, what do you want from the guy? A bad game, 23 points. That's fine. The reality is you don't need him in this series right now. At this point, what's going on with this team, you don't need him when Brown's going off for 40. You don't need him when you have a big talent disparity over this team and when the other team's without its best player now. Yeah, you can survive bad JT games. The question is, how much longer can you survive bad JT games? If you go back and you look at it, not just from box score perspectives, because, again, sometimes the counting stats aren't there, but his impact was more profound than what you'll look when you just kind of look at the shooting splits, which is a really easy and lazy way to, try to determine if he had a good game or not. But he's been good in half the games. He's been your best player in maybe the whole playoffs, maybe. And
Yeah,
that's not good enough. It's not good enough. Your first team All NBA. It's more is needed.
Yeah, more and a lot more is needed. And
more is needed. Yeah.
Here's the thing that as I'm watching him struggle game after game after game, and yet still wind up with really good numbers. You get a better understanding of why Brad Stevens and that front office were so bullish to upgrade this roster and get guys who are impact players at various positions, because I think they understand that Tatum, whether you want to accept it or not, he's not quite ready to be that guy to lead you to a championship on his back. He can be your best player and win a championship, but is he the best player to put a team on his back throughout the course of a postseason run? And the answer to that is no. You're going to, and they built this roster in a way so that you've got Jaylen, you've got Jrue, you've got Derek White, you're going to get Porzingis back. You start going down, you've got basically at least 4 and Al Horford. You've got 5 other guys who on any given night can carry you to victory. And there are very few teams that can say we've got 6 guys, we've got 5 guys, not including our best player, who can carry us on any given night in a significant way to win in the postseason. And so I think the way they built this roster, the more that you think about it, it's built for Tatum to have these kind of games and still find ways to win. But to your point, John, at some point, you're going to need him to be your best player. You're going to need him to be not just your top scorer, but your best impact player. And so far, Jaylen Brown has been their best player, best impact player. He's doing it at both ends of the floor. When Pascal kind of got it going a little bit, it was Jaylen who wanted that smoke. And so that's, to me, that's the level of where Tatum's at now. And I don't know if he's ever going to get to that next level, which is to be, ride my back guys. The way Cedric Maxwell put the team on his back and carried him. I don't know if he's ever going to be that player, but they can still win a championship with him as the best player because they built this roster to withstand games like this where he's not your best or second or even third best player. It's frustrating as hell because you see the potential. You see the ability to be the most dominant force in the game, and to not see it translate is disappointing. I mean, we talk often about just the relationship he had with Kobe and that Mamba mentality, but if we're keeping it 100, Jaylen has more Mamba mentality than Tatum.
Mamba mentality.
And I know it makes you cringe, but give credit where credit is due. Jaylen plays in the postseason the way you want your best player from an attitude standpoint to play. To just get on my back, I'm going to score. I'm going to be an elite defender. I'm going to do whatever it, as Jaylen said in his walk-off interview with Lisa Salters, whatever it takes to get a W. That's how he plays. That's exactly how he plays.
Yeah, look, you're 100% right. It's the term Mamba mentality that kills me because you're not supposed to give yourself nicknames. People give you nicknames. So the whole Mamba thing has always bugged me, but that's fine. But in terms of what Kobe did and that killer instinct and whatever you want to call Mamba mentality or what it's come to, when people come to understand it, yes, Jaylen has it times 10 over Tatum. And that's the thing is like, this is going to be like, oh, it's easy to pile on him now. But like, I think this is how you're going to view Tatum, like, for his career is
until he changes the narrative. He can change the narrative, but he hasn't shown the ability to do that.
And I think part of the reason why is I think he's trying to be something maybe that isn't best suited to his overall skill set, which is like Kobe. And like, you're not Kobe. You're not even Melo in that regard. Like, he's not the guy who just cooks. He's not an elite shot creator, but he's a guy who can score a lot of different ways because he's big. He can get downhill, but right now his jump shot is garbage. He's not getting by people on the dribble. When he gets to the basket, oftentimes it's getting the ball when the coverage hasn't come over and recognizing it and getting into the lane quickly. And when he does, he's big and long and fast and explosive, and it's tough to get him going there. But right now, I mean, he had back-to-back possessions where he couldn't score over McConnell and Shepherd. That was after he started getting it going in the third quarter. He's struggling to get by people. He's struggling to shoot over the top of people. Maybe it's just a slump, but the reality is like, he's not at the level of the best shot creators in the NBA, which is what most of the national pundits judge him by. So based off of that, some of the other things that he's legitimately elite at, doesn't get credit for. Like his defense when he plays is legitimately really elite. He's a better defender than Brown that's how I view it. I mean, he can really lock down guys when he wants to. He's got to be more. He's got to recognize that, like, he's got to lean into the playmaking a little bit more and just quick decision making and not fall into these habits of like, let me just break the guy down. And, even I said it last game after his post game, and it bugged me a little, like, that he was like, I just got to keep taking them. Eventually they'll fall. I don't think that needs to be his attitude. I think his attitude needs to be like, whatever's happening in the game, that's what's happening in the game. And that's that. It's not a concern that you have to find your offense, not for this team to win. Holiday, Jrue Holiday's at the podium. We're going to hear from him right now. Hold on.
I love it. I'll ride for him, and whatever I can do to obviously get that win is needed. But the way JB's been playing, man, is outstanding.
Jrue, defensively, things seem to really shift when you went Tatum at the 5, O'Shea at the 4. What did you see from that lineup that worked?
Bit of a smaller lineup, but very athletic.
Yes.
I think that we were just kind of scrambling for each other and playing off each other.
Yes.
We know that they like to get into the paint and kind of make a type of plays in there, but I think because we're long and athletic, we can take some of those things away and really just try to speed them up as much as possible.
Yes.
The word chaotic has been used in the past couple of days to describe them. Is there an element of kind of returning that chaos with that smaller lineup? Does that kind of negate it somehow?
Sure. I mean, I guess chaos with chaos, right? I think that we, just like them, I think they do a great job of having, seems like controlled chaos. The way that they play, they move the ball, they move bodies, and they play fast. But we can also do that. We can go small, we can go big, we can play fast, we can slow down and execute. But I think adding O'Shea out there was just a different element where, I mean, all 5 guys, just if we were switching or if we're staying with our man.
Jrue, you and Derek combined for 16 assists and 14 to 22 shooting. Joe was talking about how you guys have been so open-minded to doing anything offensively that the team needs on this team as a backcourt with Derek and sort of like taking the pressure off of Jaylen Jason, the scoring department, if you need to, screening, playmaking. Like, how do you feel like you've embraced that do anything role on offense?
Yeah. Utility guys that will do anything to win, and feel like that's kind of what is important. It's not necessarily getting your stats or seeing what it looks like, but doing whatever it takes to win. And Derek's done a great job this whole season of just setting up the offense, getting us to the things we need. I mean, he talks to me so much, telling me where to go, what to do. So as a point guard, Derek's been great and leading our team.
Jrue, O'Shea was a plus 18 tonight, just over 12 minutes. What made his time so impactful, and how rewarding is it to see players like him that really haven't seen many minutes this postseason perform like that?
No, I'm happy to see that. And he stays ready. He hasn't seen many minutes this postseason. Probably didn't play as much as he wanted to during the regular season. But I just think that's a part of sacrifice and him staying ready. Him staying ready, I know it's tough because you're not really getting like game reps like that. But the way he came out and played, and I think like the first 2 minutes had 2 rebounds and great stops. just really excited and glad to see him do that, because I mean, for one, it's a confidence booster, and two, it's against his old team. So,
Drew, were you surprised at all that they went to the like third string with 5 minutes left and it's still like 14, 15-point game? And in that situation, what's kind of the key to ensuring there's no let up and the game isn't over on your end?
Yeah, just to continue to lock in. We know that these guys that are coming off the bench, if it's second or third string, this is their chance to make anything happen. And we know just the first and second unit of Indy, they're going to play hard, but these guys are going to play even harder. So we know on the big stage, anything can happen, and guys can make plays. And we really just wanted to set the tone, especially toward the end of the game, or control the game toward the end of the game. All right.
All right, Jrue Holiday. So Sherrod, just again, we're talking about the early questions to Holiday there about the small ball lineup, and he didn't answer like in like a shit. Yeah, we've been waiting for that, but does acknowledge it's more it's more athletic and they can do different things there. If it makes sense to like you, me, and like 2,000 idiots in the chat right now, like to do this, like if we don't know, like what do we know? Like why was Joe so difficult?
Because I think
because he said it last game. It's like, any chance you might try different things, and like kind of this is adjusting, right? Like in the playoffs, you adjust. This happens all the time. Coaches bring up other guys and be like, I wonder if this guy can spark us. I wonder if that can do it. And it's easier to do it when you're the obvious underdog, right? As opposed to when, like, if you're the Celtics, you're just supposed to be able to roll out your guys and just win. So it is riskier to do it when you are the team that has less of a need to. But like, aren't you supposed to? Isn't that kind of part of the gig? It's a strange thing to just kind of dismiss so out of hand. And we know Joe's philosophy. Why doesn't he like to play these guys? He wants shooting, and Brissett can't shoot. Tillman can't shoot. He's a little bit worried about bringing those guys to the floor. Yeah, Cornette can't shoot either, So like, I'm not really sure what the fear is here. It's just a smaller athletic lineup. You should be able to do that, and you could create a lot of space. You create a lot of problems. You can put Hauser in those lineups and give him more opportunities to have open looks. So you do a lot of different things there. When you don't have somebody who's going to bury you down low, like I said, you can even play this lineup against Turner. I'm surprised he didn't try it a little bit more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Joe, so much of this comes down to what can I do that's not going to crush us? What can I do that keeps me in my comfort zone? And his comfort zone is to have shooters out there. There's no doubt about that. But the thing about the playoffs is sometimes, you've got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I don't think Joe has ever gotten to that point when it comes to lineup rotations and things like that. To me, it felt like it should have been a no-brainer to go small against this Indiana team, knowing that even when you go small, you're still physically superior to them at a lot of positions. So small ball isn't really traditional small ball where you're undersized. Small ball for them is simply you're just more athletic. You've got more defensive versatility. You have that term that Jrue used, which I love, the controlled chaos. That's what you get with the small ball, because Brissett, as you know, and we all know, he's not going to knock down 3-4 threes, but he can keep 2 or 3 possessions alive. That'll get you a couple of more shots at knocking down a 3. So my gut tells me that they're going to go back and look at the film and realize, wow, this small ball lineup is something that kind of worked. We might want to unleash this at some point in Game 3. Even if we're in control of the game, we may unleash it as just kind of a change of pace type thing to see if we can expand the lead that we have. So this is it's going to be interesting to see how they approach Game 3, because I thought Joe did a really good job of making adjustments from Game 1 to 2. It'll be interesting to see what does he do from Game 2 to 3.
Yes, it always is interesting. Joe's always better after the game than in the game.
True.
Yeah. I got a little something from Carlisle. Carlisle, Rick Carlisle, by the way, I'm told from the chat here, who would never mislead me, that he said that that Siakam and Nesmith were tired, and that's one of the reasons that they sat. It is very strange that Carlisle seemingly pulled the plug on this game while it was still competitive, and
That's not his style.
We've seen the Celtics blow much bigger leads than that.
That's why period of time. If Rick said that those guys are tired, I believe it, because the way that he utilized his guys, in that fourth, that's not Rick's style to pull the plug that quick. So there's no question in my mind. If he said that those guys are tired, then there's some legitimate fatigue that they're dealing with.
I don't know, but here he is talking about like going back to Indiana and still feeling that they're in this series.
Series, we were down 0-2 and came home and were able to win game 3 and then move along and do what we wanted to do. For us right now, we've got to concentrate on getting back as quickly as we can tonight and preparing ourselves for our best possible effort on Saturday night. And I know that our building will be as loud and live as it's ever been. It's race weekend and everything else going on.
Yeah, sure.
And so we've got to take advantage of that. It doesn't guarantee anything, but it will be a better environment for us than playing here for sure.
Here's the thing. This is the one thing that I mean, Rick going back, we're going to be back home. We were down 0-2 and we came back and we beat the Knicks. But here's the difference. If let's say Jaylen Brown wasn't playing and let's say Derek White wasn't playing and let's say Porzingis was still out, then I would feel a lot more confident going back home. But here's the problem. All of those, two of those guys are definitely going to play. And the third guy may very well play. They played an undermanned, injury-riddled Knicks team that was basically on life support with Jalen Brunson being the one player of impact that they had. The Celtics had 4 guys who can drop 30 on you. And here's the thing, and we talked about Jalen earlier, but the last thing I'll say about Jalen is this. There is no one on that Indiana team that can guard him. Not a soul. He has torched, grilled, filleted everyone on that squad.
But the reason we played that bite is, does this look like a man who believes his team?
No.
That is about the most defeated coach speak I'll ever hear after a game.
He's talking about the damn race being in town as being part. That's what?
That guy, and credit to Jackson, our producer Jackson Tolliver, who pulled out that particular bite. That is the most defeated, saddest thing. We won't be here, so that's good. And
the race is in town. We got the race.
And there's the race, and that's always fun. And oh my goodness gracious.
And it's having known Rick for more than 20 years and having covered Rick when he was in Detroit, and that Rick that we just saw is a man that kind of knows the end is near. And
he was a sad girl.
Yeah,
he was really sad.
And he knows his guys are going to fight. He knows they're going to fight, and they're not just going to bow, but he's looking at the weapons that he's got at his disposal, and he's looking across and see, my gosh, look at all that they've got. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of when, not if it's going to be over. So
no doubt about it. We'll bring in Josue. Give us a thumbs up, Josue, when you're ready to go. And we will hear more press conferences as well. And yes, I'm sorry, we might have missed a super chat or two, and I apologize if that were the case. It was not my design, but the chat comes fast and furious, and sometimes when we're doing other things, we'll get buried in there. So if I missed one of them, I apologize. Real quick before we bring Josue on, we want to let you all know again, one of our terrific sponsors here at the Garden Report, and that is Game Time. Okay, authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, and it makes getting playoff tickets easier and faster and faster. If you're in Indiana, those prices might be going down. But like with the Game Time app, the prices go down the closer it gets to tip off. Last minute deals, all in prices, panoramic views from your seat. Game 5, if there is a Game 5, yeah, get in on that action. Good chance to see the Celtics before they head to the finals, which seems like a foregone conclusion at this point. And again, I don't know what people want from me. If I say it's over and they're going to the finals, people get mad. If I say it's a challenging series, people get mad. What do you people want? Don't you want to go to the finals, right? We're punching your ticket here, okay? And you can get to the finals with Game Time, and that's all you have to do. So just be happy. We're giving you tickets to the finals here. Low price guarantee. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the app, the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. That's all you got to do. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Let's bring in our man, Josue Pavon, here from the Garden, looking dapper. He's got a mic in his hand.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? I'm official out here.
This looks like the most official Josue Pavon we've ever seen on the Garden Report. I love it.
Should take a screenshot.
I think we're good, Sherrod. Thank you, though. Well, I appreciate you guys. How you guys feeling about this game?
Hey, I'm feeling good about Mark and Melanie joining here. I love that. Yeah.
Nice.
Mark and Melanie. Gotcha.
In the chat.
Yeah.
What's your take? What's your take, Josue? Hey, there's Jimmy Toscano jumping in. Hi, Jimmy. We see
man.
You.
Incredible night for Jaylen Brown, just taking over the way he did, dominating, playoff career high, matches at 40 points out here. And I love what Joe Mazzulla had to say about his growth. He has that mindset, always wants to get better, never quite satisfied. And he was honest when he said, and I was hoping Joe would give us the real answer, and he did, when he said that the All-NBA snub, that's something that motivates Jaylen. That's something that you're going to see something like this after, less than 24 hours after that news dropped. And I think that everyone sort of knew that going into this one, but the way he continued to be consistent and also finding his guys, Joe Mazzulla bringing up he hopes that the NBA one day does the hockey assist or some sort of column.
Oh God.
To address
that
potential assist. Yeah, he's hoping that it makes the box score one day because Jaylen had a stack of them in this game, even though the box score shows he had 2 assists. So yeah, I thought it was a perfect game for him.
Go, John. Go.
Guys, the guys with high assist numbers also have a shit ton of potential assists too, right? The more you pass, the percentages eventually even out over time. And so sometimes those guys you pass to for open threes hit them, and sometimes they don't. But over a long enough timeline, the guys with the higher assist totals are finding more guys open. There's no secret here. It's not like you realize how unlucky you'd have to be to have this ungodly amount of potential assists and just people just happen to miss.
Yeah, but John, it falls into the philosophy. It fits Joe Mazzulla's philosophy. Move that ball because we don't want
and the high assist guys have them also. They all do. Everybody who passes the basketball ever to a guy who shoots is doing something that could result in an assist, and sometimes they don't go in. We know this. We got to leave the potential assists alone.
Okay.
There are some nights where the luck isn't on your side. You made 12 good passes to 12 open shooters and none of them hit it. Absolutely. But over a long enough timeline, it all evens out. It all evens out.
Yeah, but you got to translate that line to Joe Mazzulla's language, which is what it means is
hockey
Tatum
assists
was
are
out
different.
there
We have
struggling.
a number for that. It's secondary assists.
Well, no, I think it's more so of Tatum was out there struggling, and Jaylen wasn't saying to everyone, "Hey, just give me the ball and everyone clear the way." Obviously he wasn't in a pass first type of mood. He was in attack mode. But I think what he's trying to say is Jaylen picks his spots. He obviously you look at his efficiency, which has always been sharp, but this playoff run has been. It's the best we've ever seen from Jaylen. So I just think that's his way of saying, he could have easily been like, okay, time to go out and get mines. What, Tatum got 4 at halftime? This is my show. I feel like a couple of years ago, maybe he does that, but he's come a long way. Obviously, we know how he has as a player overall, but I think in the heat of the moment, it's easy to get caught into it, right? Especially when you're on point, when you're scoring at a high rate, and the Indiana Pacers are just sort of like you're not getting that sort of resistance that's going to slow you down. I mean, he could have easily got 50 out here if he really wanted to. I know it's a Jason Tatum line, but I just think that it really rings true when you think about the kind of game Jaylen put together, especially when Tatum didn't really have it until he kind of found his offense in that second half.
Look, one guy out there looked like he was absolutely the guy, and it was Brown. Every second he was out there. First quarter, the whole time. Again, you got dropped from the sky, and this is the first basketball game you've ever watched with these teams playing. You'd be like, that's obviously the team's best player. Like, Brown was that guy the whole night. He was the guy. And it wasn't even close. I mean, and again, in comparison to Tatum, who was just passive and inefficient for the first 2.5 quarters, Brown did everything. I mean, just the way he played, how aggressive he was, the reads that he made, didn't force anything. Again, there's nothing. Look, you want to nitpick? Everybody laid down a little bit at the end of that second quarter and kind of fell asleep on defense. And Brown had a couple of blow-bys. Tatum had one there. Other than that, Brown was, I mean, and it was pretty close to a perfect game. He was terrific.
He has been their most valuable player.
You did give him his flowers. All right, I want to make sure.
No, all game long. Are you kidding? He was the number one guy. It wasn't even close. Yeah. And you know what? He was the best player. Yeah. He saved their ass in game one, and he's pretty much single-handedly won game two by being the man the whole time until finally everybody got it together and stretched it out. And yeah, other good performances too, Holiday and White for sure. But he's miles and away your clubhouse leader for conference finals MVP right now. And it's going to be hard
John
to get it.
called.
Which I called.
Wave the flag, John. Go ahead. Wave the flag.
But he's on his way. I mean, shit. The very fact that I tweeted this earlier, going back to game one, the Jaylen Brown causing the turnover and that three was like almost dismissed for how ridiculous those plays were back to back. And how improbable they were, because everybody spent the whole time saying that the Pacers screwed up. God, I can't believe the Pacers blew it. And I said it was very likely. It was akin to the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl with the Malcolm Butler interception, where all anybody at that moment spent time is like, why didn't they hand the ball to Lynch? And they were talking about that. And I'm sitting there watching it like, guys, this was the greatest play in the history of championship sports. What aren't you seeing here? And Brown had two of those back to back rolled into one. It was, now there's a steal by Bird. It was a big deal. And the complexion of the series changes a ton if he doesn't make those plays. And he saved JT's ass in game one because he didn't have a great game. He got 10 points in overtime after Nesmith fouled out, and his stat line looked beefier than Brown, but Brown was the guy in game one, and he was undoubtedly the guy in game two. So he's been their best player by far.
Well, he saved them in that last minute, because look at those possessions, right? Whether you want to critique Tatum's jumper in the paint, what are we calling that? The 4-foot fadeaway, which I felt like in that moment, why not drive to the rim and get something more of a secure layup? And then he missed it, right? So I think if Jaylen doesn't make that shot, we're going to point to that, or we're going to point to the turnover, or we're going to point to late game execution overall, saying like, well, why does Tatum always have to be the guy? So yeah, I mean, Jaylen saved them in a big way in game one. Tatum obviously answered the call in that overtime, but yeah, without Jaylen, I mean, none of that happens. And I feel like a lot of the time, especially from the national media standpoint, we spend so much time talking about what Tatum is doing, and maybe that has a lot to say with why Jaylen wasn't on one of these all NBA teams. I mean, it's kind of weird, isn't it? When you think about his numbers and the way the Celtics finished the season and just the consistency throughout, and listen, I get it. Some guys in there, they had a heck of a season, but in terms of consistency, I mean, in that third team, there's guys who just kind of dropped off a bit, especially after the All-Star break, yeah, I think it was a snub, but I also think that Jaylen is not going to lose sleep over this thing. But yeah, to what Joe Mazzulla said after this game, it certainly played a part, and he responded to that snub in a big way tonight.
Yeah, it's snub or no snub. He's the type of guy who can get motivated by this sort of stuff, and I hate always doing the comparison, but I also love doing the comparison, so I'm going to do it. I feel like Brown will motivate himself. Tatum would have just been sad and then given a sulky post-game comment about nobody likes us. Like, but Brown's like, all right, mother, like I'll show. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
The
He acts like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I got it. It's a nod. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna put that one away, and I got it.
It's
and
like
he does.
it's like
so
the
good.
nod.
Everybody said it at the same time. Like on Twitter, right after he got snubbed, everyone's like, "Oh, those poor Pacers," and it happened.
Yeah.
This is what JB does, though, and this is why him and I think Tatum are such good complements of one another, because you've got Jaylen, who's got that fire, that edge, that nastiness, and Tatum's got that ridiculous skill set. But the thing that, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, to me, that one of the most important developments in this game was Tatum's awareness, self-awareness, that I am not him today. I am not the guy that's going to get it done. Jaylen is. Let me slide just a little bit to the side here and give him the space to just dominate, because that's what he's doing. He is the one guy, and I said this earlier, that Indiana has no answer for. And I mean, like, not even close. No one has been able to keep him from getting to the paint. No one has been able to close out on him when he's looking to shoot his three. And defensively, he's done I would say, a better than average job relative to his teammates. So at this point, he's your best player. And I think Tatum's ability to recognize that in this series, Jaylen is the guy that should be leading this team, not me.
Well,
that's really important.
Yeah, he's okay with that, right?
Like,
very important.
What do you guys think Tatum could do differently when he's having these types of games? Because again, the question is, yeah, you can have off shooting nights, you might not feel it, but like he felt he was again, who the hell knows? We're not psychologists here, but I mean, I think a lot of people say, like, he looks like he gets in his own head with some. He's pressing, he's thinking about it. He's trying so hard to affect the game in the way that he knows how, and it's not really there for him. He doesn't want to force it, but also he's like, if I'm not assertive, I'm not really doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And he gets stuck. And I do think when he shoots wide open threes, when I knew Tatum was a little screwed? He had 1 3 attempt in the first quarter where he caught it clean, and it was an automatic catch and shoot. And for some reason, he decided to up fake, take a dribble, and kind of set himself and shoot it like sidestep side at the top of the key. And he bricked it. And I was like, oh, he's feeling his way through it. He did not feel comfortable to just get it and shoot it in rhythm for whatever reason. And then he had another wide open one, to start the third, and he just side rimmed it. Not even close. Top of the key, he stepped into it, and I mean, it barely clanged the right side of the rim. So when he's off like that, I think he really gets in his own head. What can he do different there? Because you don't want him to just hide. There were at times he looked like he was a straight decoy. That's what kind of bugs me a little bit. And this is what's somewhat concerning about Tatum is it would totally be fine if he had that crap shooting game or decided I'm not going to shoot because I'm not feeling it. This guy's cooking. But then you'd want to see the assist total like 8, 9, 10, and him really just working towards getting other people involved, and that being his primary goal. What he got killed for, even though he ended up with 36 points in the fourth quarter, at least killed by the national media, was a 9-minute stretch in the fourth quarter where he had 0 points and 0 assists.
Right.
That's doing nothing. So, like, if you're not in your bag offensively, what can you do to affect the game on the offensive end? Because you're needed. You can't just not be there, right?
When he's struggling like that, I like to see him become more of a screener, because if they're swinging a ball, when he's a screener, he's going to get the ball in a position where either he's going to have a significantly easy shot, or the defense is going to be moving is that he's going to be creating an opportunity for someone to have a layup or a wide open three or something like that. They need, when he's not hitting shots, they need to utilize him to create shots for others. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get assists, but what it does mean is he needs to be moving his ass in ways that he's not used to. Typically, Tatum is moving to get to a spot where he can get the ball and go ISO, or where he can catch and shoot. But rather than do that, simply move, set screens to free other guys up and see how the defense responds. If they stay with him, that means someone is going to be wide open. And these guys have a high enough basketball IQ to recognize that. There are ways that he can generate offense without scoring and without necessarily getting assists, but he needs to have the mindset, and Joe needs to basically make that a point that if he misses 6 of his first 7 shots, you need to do something different. because what you're doing is clearly not working. So I like when every now and then he'll have like a 90-second stretch where he's a screener, because all of a sudden Derek White is getting wide open threes. Peyton Pritchard is getting wide open threes. You're getting freaking, O'Shea Brissett is getting dunks off of Jaylen Brown penetration. Those are the type of things that he needs to be better at when his shot's not falling.
Well, that's because Sherrod, the defense is always going to follow him. I mean, even if he's ice cold, he's still going to attract guys, to get the double team or help defense in certain situations. So I think Tatum knows that, okay, I don't have it right now, but the defense is not going to let up, right? So I feel like a lot of the times that's when you get that type of Tatum where, like you talked about earlier, or John talked about how, he's doing these up fakes where he's already wide open and he's kind of just like trying to go into his shot as if someone's right in front of him because he's so used to that resistance. I feel like that's when that's an indication of the opposing team's defense kind of starting to get to him. But when he's able to find his offense anyways throughout the course of the second half, I think that's the pattern we've seen throughout, this season. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 12 points at halftime. And then all of a sudden he starts to figure it out. The offense starts to spread out a bit. Where's the defense thin? And then he picks his spots.
But sometimes that matters. Like meaning Robin. This is and this is a good point, Robin. Thank you. He seems disinterested because he's just, like we said, I think he's in his own head a little bit here. I'm sorry. I only played well for a short stint of the game. Sometimes that's good enough because that's what you needed. Like, they didn't need much of what Tatum did when he finally got it going versus someone else having done. It's not like he took over the game, went into crazy, like, all right, I'm going to put this thing away mode. He just was a little better. You really can't take 30 minutes off in a game. Like, it's just in a conference finals game and be on almost zero at that point. Like, I don't care if it evens out over time. Like, you need him consistently. He's on the floor all of that time when he's a negative. He was -9 or something at the half. Like he was a negative. That's definitely not good enough. Colin, I know you're mad. I'm sorry. We couldn't find some of the super chats because the chat got away from it. Yes, I don't know about Porzingis. You got to play him sometime, right? At this point, you have to answer this question or ask this question, guys. There's definitely less of it feels based off going up 2-0 and Halliburton potentially missing time, and we'll see what happens there.
That's a big loss. We got to talk about that.
Which is we did, but everyone didn't want me to because they're like, "Shut up, it's not over." But I don't know if it's over.
Don't jinx it, John. Come on.
Let's be real. Like, it's over. But this is a reason to not rush Porzingis back. But to Colin's point here, you got to get him in game shape before game one of the finals, because the last thing you want is clunky feeling it out Porzingis in here. You kind of want to get the 18 minutes, 21 minute stint where he's just playing 6 minutes at a time, 3 times in a game out of the way now. But if it ends in 4, it's not going to happen. If it ends, if it ends in 5, you're not. So he'll be well rested, but he's not going to be in game shape. And you're going to throw him right back into a starting lineup in game 1 of the NBA finals, not having played a minute of basketball in a month, which is not ideal. But what I will say is it's better than not having Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah. I mean, I think you got to find a way, if again, once he gets the medical clearance, to get him on the floor in Indiana this weekend. Game 3, game 4, doesn't matter, but get him out there, even if it's only for 10 minutes, just to kind of get him back into the rhythm of being on the floor. Even though obviously he's played a full season with these guys, we see even now that there's miscommunications, that there are breakdowns that you would be surprised that guys who play together all season would have, but they happen. And the further removed you are from being on the floor with those guys, the more likely those mistakes are going to happen. And you don't want to see those mistakes creep up in the NBA finals. So if they can get him out there, even if it's for 10 minutes, do that before you get to the finals.
I mean, I agree with the theory, but I don't know if his body's going to respond in that type of schedule, like I just, again, when you don't hear, I've mentioned this in other podcasts before, like when you don't hear, what's up, Jimmy? Give me a second. When you don't hear or you don't see him out there doing 5-on-5 or 3-on-3, any type of like that in-game minutes or contact, like I just think means he's probably still a week away. Game 4, maybe, I don't know. Like obviously it would be like a minute restriction type of thing, but I don't know. I don't think his body is quite there. But yeah, I mean, that would be ideal if this thing I don't think it would be a sweep, but maybe a game 5 appearance, something like that. It's ideal, but I don't know. I don't know if his body is quite there. But I'm with you, Sherrod. I mean, get him out here in the finals, hypothetically.
Hold on, I gotta stop you. Tatum's coming to the podium, and Jimmy Toscano has to submit.
Lunch pail.
Jimmy
has
to submit. Jimmy has to submit to a blood alcohol test before I let him speak here.
There's no
so while we administer that, we're going to hear from Tatum.
That worked.
Yeah, I think it allowed us to play a little bit faster. And, each game presents different challenges or, we always talk about we just have to be open to different things. And, whenever your number is called or whatever you're asked to do, just be ready to do it.
I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before. Obviously, you're a big guy, but playing the 5 is different responsibilities, maybe a little bit of a different toll on your body. What is that like for you shifting into that position?
I mean, we got defensive principles that, we follow. And it's just about being connected, communicating and playing hard, essentially, and then, going up and trying to get a rebound.
Jason O'Shea was a plus 18 tonight. What did you see from him that made him so impactful, and how rewarding is it to see a guy that really hasn't seen many minutes this postseason take off like that?
It was great. Just the energy that he came in with on both ends, just finding a way to impact the game. And like you said, we see the stay ready group guys work and show up for us every single day. So I love when they're able to get their number called and get an opportunity to help us win a game.
Don't you disparage the stay
Jason,
ready.
did you
Guys,
speak with
stay ready.
Jaylen before the game about being snubbed from the All-NBA teams? And if so,
Get ready,
how do you think it
Jason.
impacted him tonight?
No, we didn't talk about that today. During shoot around, we just focused on winning the game tonight. We all felt like internally that he should have, made one of All-NBA teams. So it was a shame to see that he didn't.
Jason,
That's our
40
camera,
points for,
dude.
for
Sit.
Jaylen tonight after his heroics in game 1. What have you seen from him throughout the course of this postseason? How has
Ahmet, you
his game
pushed,
evolved?
you
in
hit
your
that
view?
dude right in the back. If
I
that
think,
happens again.
the game is just slowing down for him more and more. Finding ways to be effective, still while making the right play. And, just being himself, when we need him to.
Jason, how pleased are you to get out of here up 2-0 heading to Indy for game 3?
He's
what you guys were able to accomplish here.
He's pissed
Yeah,
off, bro.
I mean, winning is hard. Winning in the playoffs is tough. It never goes, I guess, how
What's it
you
mean for the
expect it
fans?
to. Each game is different in its own right. It did feel good to finally win a game 2, especially at home. So, but we understand that New York was up 2-0 and it ended up in the series. So far from relaxed. You take the win whenever you get it.
They play on offense with a lot of chaos. That's a word that's been used a lot. How did you feel tonight? You guys have kind of been able to slow down and see through the chaos.
I mean, it's tough. They put a lot of pressure on you. Even the guys that come off the bench, they play with a lot of freedom, a lot of pace. They do a good job of spacing the floor. So you just got to connect to them, connect to bodies. You can't let them run around without getting touched, essentially, because then it makes it extremely tough to do.
Throughout the season, you jump in and out of 14 and 15 coverage all the time. Changing coverages so much throughout the season, does it make it easier to adapt to how much you have to change with this team?
Short answer would be, yeah. We just practice it so much throughout the season that, and that's why we do it throughout the regular season.
Basketball words.
So, when it comes to playoff time, it's not a lot of confusion.
Jason, how important is Jaylen's voice? Obviously, his play has been big, but his voice, becoming more vocal. I know, in one of the games you struggled early in the playoffs, he was like, Jason,
Celtics
find his
media in a
rhythm.
nutshell.
You guys see him find his rhythm even more. Has he kind of been in your ear for a lot of this playoff run, motivating you and pushing you? Like, what's his voice been like for you and the team?
Yeah, I think it's important for every guy in that locker room to speak up. Right? We all respect each other.
I knew you were gonna get him for that.
And that comes from trust. We see the work that everybody puts in every single day and the growth from
Everybody.
Whenever your first year here was until now, the growth and development of every single guy. And we have that environment where, everybody has a voice from the top guy to, the last man on the bench, right? We all in this together. You need to encourage somebody, do so. If you see something that we're doing wrong, it's your job to speak up.
How does that help you when a guy like him does try to motivate you or anybody?
Say something nice about Jaylen. Ask him, Bobby.
It's just like having 15 brothers or so, right? We all
15 brothers.
Can you say the nicest thing about Jaylen right now?
We're trying to accomplish something special, so we are all in this together.
Last question to Abby.
But what
You
about
mentioned
Jaylen?
JB, but what does it mean to you to make the All NBA team in a third straight year? How gratifying is that after all the work that you put in?
It's special. It's something I strive to do, that I expect, but it's nothing I take for granted. It's an honor to be on first team All NBA. So many talented guys in this league.
We know.
Just gets better and better each and every year. So
it does.
Very fortunate.
Most places
to make that team again. I'm thankful for everybody that has helped me along the way. Success is not something that you can achieve by yourself. So, it's a lot of people that deserve credit in helping me get to
I'm bored.
where I'm at.
Okay.
Next.
All right. Oh my God.
Wow.
He's got to be trained or something.
Tatum presser, man. It's too late for Tatum presser. We probably
All of
a
my
few people are
brothers.
probably asleep behind the computer now.
Maybe
All
Jaylen
my
and
brothers.
maybe Jaylen and Jason had like some kind of agreement, some kind of pact, being like, look, we're not gonna fall into this whole like narrative, so we're not gonna, give each other crazy compliments or anything. Let's just keep it about the team.
Yeah, no.
This is getting to the point where it's like he's doing this on purpose, man.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little from Jaylen.
Here's the alpha.
Jaylen.
By the way, they could have gone together.
40-point
Right on
night.
top of one another.
What were you seeing out there? And one of the things that Joe and Jason were talking about is your ability to make the right play while you're over there dropping 40. So what were you seeing on the floor?
Just being aggressive, wanted to get out in transition and run, but wanted to attack their smaller guards, put pressure on them, get to the basket, get to the free throw line.
Was there any motivation for you after hearing that you didn't make an All-NBA team?
No, I wouldn't say that.
There was a lot of motivation. I would have said that.
You gotta ask open-ended way. You gotta ask it open-ended.
We 2 games from the finals, so honestly, I don't got the time to give a fuck.
Woo!
You can say
There's
that
a
on
lot of room for
CLNS
improvement
Media.
after game one.
Yeah.
What did you guys do better?
NBC is off the air, but you
think
can
we
say
fought.
that here.
I think we
We
fought
keep it
from
100.
beginning to end.
He doesn't care at
We
all.
fought better in this
clearly.
game, and I think that was the majority. You had some guys go down. Still some
yes,
stuff we can
Jaylen.
clean up, but I think we fought, so that was the most important thing.
Jaylen.
Get out of
over
Amit's
here to your right.
camera.
Just how good was it to get out of here up 2-0, defend your home court, now heading out there for game 3?
Yeah, it's great, especially around this time of the year. Take advantage of home court. That's what we
Oh my
worked all
God.
season for during the regular
this guy's
season.
rude.
Did
Being the
Amit
number
sit
1
up on the
seed, so
floor?
being able to take care of business here at home. Now let's go steal one on the road or 2.
Did you just do
Jaylen,
that?
third quarter, there's a play where you get the ball to Shea under the basket. He gets the dunk. Indiana calls timeout. And all you guys play to the crowd, but you seem to be particularly demonstrative at that point. You looked up to the balcony, you had your hands up. What's going on right around that time?
It's the playoffs. It's the best time of the year when we need
Soundbite.
the fans to bring that energy because we feed off it.
ESPN
Put that
is
on
loving
Jumbotron.
Jaylen Brown right about now.
Jaylen, you guys went to some smaller lineups today, partly because Luke was out, but Joe had said he wanted to try him anyway. What kind of dynamic do you think that brought in this game, and how did it help you?
I couldn't hear you say that one time.
The going small a little bit, smaller lineups.
Yeah, we haven't done that too much all year.
Nope.
That was a new look for us, but I thought that we won those minutes. O'Shea came in, X came in, and we were able to still rebound and get out and run. So I think the key in that group is rebounding, but that also allows us to play fast, to match their speed a little bit better and get matched up in transition. We just got to keep these guys in front of us, which is hard to do when they just they're getting the ball, taking the ball at the net, and just pushing it up the floor. But I thought those guys, O'Shea and X, in their minutes, had a great value.
Were you surprised at all that they went like third string deep bench with like 5-6 minutes left? It's still a 14-50 point game. And how did you kind of maintain your guys' level when that happens?
Yeah, it was a little surprising. I don't know what the reasoning behind that was, but we focused on winning the game. So I think that's what our focus was. But
you could take that.
That definitely was a little weird.
Jaylen, you were so intentional about what you wanted to accomplish in this postseason, the work you put in, being more efficient, and
7 minutes
kind of
in.
projecting what you wanted to accomplish. Seeing it happen now, having games like this and the postseason in totality, what has that meant given how intentional you were about what you wanted to accomplish?
You could have sent a text.
I mean, it's a blessing to step out on the floor each and every night. I don't take that for granted. So I keep that in perspective, regardless of what's being said or whatever the narrative or the discourse is around me. I just come out and try to add value on both sides of the floor. And I feel like, when it comes to that, there's not a lot of people better in this league. So I just come out and take it one game at a time. And right now we got 2 home games and we're looking for the next one.
Thank you, Jaylen.
People have discussed about
We'll stick around for Gary.
Some of the things you have not been able to do as opposed to things you can do. Do you feel like you're overlooked, slighted, underrated? And does that motivate you? Does that piss you off privately when you're working out? Like, do you see what's written about you? You see what's said about you, and you keep a low profile off the floor. But how does that motivate you or push you?
I watch guys get praised and anointed. I feel like it's half as talented as me on either side of the ball.
Oh, Tyrese Halliburton
but
shout.
At this point in my life, I just embrace it.
him.
It comes with being who I am and what I stand for, and I ain't really changing that. So I just come out, and I'm grateful to step out on the floor each and every night and put my best foot forward. I get better every single year, and whether people appreciate it or not, it is what it is.
No, you're supposed to say, I don't give a
Mic drop.
Gary got the goods.
Nice, Gary.
Well done. Well
That
done.
question was asked earlier. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck about it. Then Gary asked it. He's like, yeah, I'm freaking pissed. These guys saw half the talent.
Jaylen sounds like somebody who definitely doesn't care about it at all.
Well, no, the first question kind of makes it seem like, oh, is that the reason why you went out and did that? And Jaylen's like, no, I would have done this regardless. But now you mentioned, you're talking about other all-stars that are maybe valued or at least talked about as better than I am, and I don't agree with that. So, yeah, Gary questioned that. He positioned that question perfectly in the sense of saying, like, how much do you have to do to not get snubbed on the All-NBA, or at least the second or third team, probably the third team if you ask me, when you have the best record out there and you guys are this dominant? It's a snub, especially when the other person is playing in this series on the other side and like Sherrod just said, and Halliburton.
Yeah,
like that's
one
the
question-
one
That was
that
your
didn't
spot.
sit well with me. Like that for me,
kinda
that's
your
the
spot.
spot. Yeah, man. After the All-Star break, he was not the same guy. He was
That
not
was
him,
your spot.
He's not.
Yeah, that was
He's
Jaylen's
about
spot.
the snub, and the other one's about other people getting press clippings and he's like, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you got snubbed for these other guys, and then he's basically saying there's guys out there half as talented as I am. So he's got it.
Is he right?
Yeah, there are guys that get praised that aren't nearly as good at both ends of the floor as he is. There's some guys who might be, there's some guys who are better scorers, and there's some guys who might be better defenders. But in terms of the ability to play at an elite level, both ends of the floor, there are guys who get more props and praise than he does, who aren't as good in the totality of his game as Jaylen.
Here's the thing. Look, you can quibble with it all you want. It was close. He's 16th. If he was 15th, the 16th guy has a beef, and so does their entire fan base. Like, it's not insulting to say he's the 16th
He's
best
your
player in the
16th
NBA.
best player, Jimmy.
But if Jaylen Brown is the 16th best player and Tatum is the 5th, that's ridiculous. It's not bad.
Right.
So it's not insulting for him to be in that spot. But it's frustrating for him because he's coming off his best all-around season, his most well-rounded season where he's played in control. He sacrificed some stats because there was more talent on the team. And he's like, so shit, last year I make it scoring 27 points a game, which some of it was empty calories because of, I had to score because we didn't have as much help, and now that we do, I
You have to get
defer a
paid
little bit
though,
more.
too. Don't forget.
So I get why he says it, but I'm going to bring Bobby in here too in a little bit, but we're going to talk about it a little bit. That Tatum, that's 2 days in a row. Tatum's gone out of his friggin' way to do that regarding Brown, and that's weird shit to me. Like, I'm sorry, people here will want to say it's not a thing. That's a weird thing. Basically, how awesome was Jaylen Brown? Tonight was the night where Tatum would say he was, but the question was, does he lead you? Can you follow his lead? And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't give it to him. He just wouldn't. He could have at least said, he could have batted away the leadership question or how following his lead and just said, JB was awesome tonight. He was clearly our best player. We don't win this game without him. And you're done. That's it. Really easy out.
We've
Look
been
at
saying
these
that for
guys.
years.
Look at these guys. Get out of my shot, Josue. Get out of my shot, as Bobby's saying.
I thought he was bringing him in. Oh, he's bringing him in.
I want you guys to
We look
see
like
what's happening here.
outfits. Look at this.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. Exactly. Thanks, God. Thanks, Sherrod.
This is Romeo and Bullethead cleaned up.
No, this is
You can't steal
Yeah,
Gary.
we're wearing like the same thing. It's not a good look.
Come on.
this is Suits, the Garden Report edition. Okay, that's what we've got right
That's
now.
Gary's on, Sherrod. Come on.
Yeah, you need to start sending me.
Exactly.
Make sure this doesn't happen again.
You guys look sharp. You guys got to be the best looking
Twins at the game.
Yeah, twins.
I don't know, Sherrod. Romeo and Bullethead weren't that great looking, but I appreciate you. Shout out to people who remember the Steve Harvey show.
Yeah, I had to look that one up.
It's
So
our
what do you make
version
about the
of
Jaylen
Jaylen
comment?
Brown.
I mean, you were in that room. You asked him the question about
The Tatum
all
comment to your
NBA.
question, Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you make of it? 'Cause we had a
Tatum
lot
or
to
Brown?
say. To Brown.
Tatum.
Oh no,
No,
excuse me, to Tatum.
Tatum.
Sorry,
Oh,
to
okay,
Tatum
yeah.
about Brown. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
how
mean, it
he
was similar to-
he wouldn't answer either, and he wouldn't answer your follow up. He
That's
said all
why I
15 guys
followed,
in here
'cause
have a voice. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've seen him mic'd up and we've seen him going, "Come on, you're a big douche, you're a big douche." Like, and we've seen those moments where like he's just trying deuce. He's just trying to get Tatum going. Like, he found a rhythm tonight. We need him to find an even better rhythm, going forward. We've seen those different moments here throughout the playoffs, and tonight I'm sure too. Trying to get in his ear, get him going at all. 2 for 8, the start there, 4 points in the first half. Brown feels like one of the
They
main
got you, Bob.
motivators who's really trying to
They
get him
got you.
going. And it was weird. Like, we just keep saying it. It's weird, Josue.
You don't think they had some kind of discussion, being like, "We're gonna kill this narrative"? I don't know. I'm trying to give them out here, but hey,
guess.
we're not gonna give into this whole like Tatum and Brown narrative. We're just gonna say this is about the team,
Right.
team.
I mean,
So,
that makes sense.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, then
I'm
you know
not
what
saying
you
I believe
you
that that's the
respond,
case.
but you respond that way. Then whenever you're asked a question about Jrue, whenever you're asked a question about Derek, whenever you're asked a question about anyone, if that's the narrative, so no, Josue, your out is rejected.
I was trying to give him out. I didn't subscribe to that narrative, but I was just trying to help him out at it. It's weird, man. It's a little weird.
It is
How'd
very
you
weird.
guys-
Because the way I see it is, everyone helps me out. Well, everyone, like, you know how many all-stars out there, or guys who are fringe all-stars, whatever you want to call them, like they would kill for a teammate like Jaylen Brown. And
Guys,
I don't know.
I
I feel like a lot of
want-
times Tatum's just like, everyone
Look.
steps up. It's great. Everyone's just like, no, what Jalen's doing right now is insane, Tatum. Like,
And when a
let's
guy like
talk
that
about it.
has his moment, you prop him up.
Right.
And you don't
Right,
say
like, if it was
everybody's
Al
doing their
Horford,
job.
if it was Al Horford, you think anyone would have been like, "Well, it's all 15 of us."
Yeah, it's everybody else.
Exactly.
Else
You know what I
old. He
mean?
didn't do
Yeah,
shit.
like it wouldn't happen that way. If it was Derek White, it would be all about how Derek White has increased his role and become this star player in the league and blah blah blah.
And
But
let's
Right.
be
Jaylen
real.
Brown, it was everybody.
Right.
And let's be real. If he doesn't hit
I've
that
made
shot,
I've made tons of shots in this building, and it's great. It's like, wait a minute, we're talking about Jaylen right now.
and if he doesn't hit
Even
that
the
shot
last
at the
game.
end of game 1, if he
Well, that's what I'm
doesn't
talking about. But yeah, John, sorry.
if he doesn't score 40 tonight, are you down 0-2 in this series because of
Yes.
the way you've played in large
Possibly.
part?
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
it's
like,
weird.
we talked about
You
it after
lose.
last game.
Probably
Game 1.
split. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. If anything, worst case scenario, you're going to Indy. This thing's 1-1.
It's like a meatball, right? You just toss it to him, hit it out of the park with praise for Jaylen, and I don't know. I don't get it.
So again, it's so easy in
involved,
the
aren't
sense that like this is where people get screwed up here. It's like it doesn't matter. They won. They're gonna win. Of course, it might not matter at all. It's just a little odd because there's no reason to not do it, and you accidentally create an issue. You create weird narratives and conversations by not trying really hard to not like you don't have to try hard at all to not create the narrative. All you have to say, as Bobby said with this softball, is Jaylen was awesome. Jesus, I mean, it's so easy.
Yeah, man.
Everybody was awesome, John.
Everybody, everyone has a role. Everyone, it was all hands on deck. Yeah, exactly.
You know who was not awesome, Bobby?
It's a great Tatum impression right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really want to get into it?
No, I don't. I'm sorry.
No, we're
It's
good.
just I can't help it.
Just that alone, everybody knows what you're talking about, so we're good. We don't have to get into
I mean, I said what I had to say after game 1. It's not his series, so they finally went to the guy whose series it is, which is O'Shea, and I was thrilled to see it. I wanted them to do that, so there's that.
I love Ben Vallis, and we love the show that's coming on next, First to the Floor, but I'm sorry, I have to disagree. It does not seem at all normal to be asked a question about a single person and to not answer the question about that single person. It is not a normal thing. It is not. It's very easy. How good was Jaylen Brown? He was very good. How good was Jaylen Brown? Everyone was good. It's you're actually not answering it. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. How about the leadership in his voice? Everyone's got a voice. Really? Really? O'Shea O'Shea has a voice. O'Shea's got the same voice as
right.
Jaylen
And John, let's also remind everyone, as if they don't know, but let's just do it anyways. He's been his teammate his entire NBA career. Like, just put that into perspective. Like, I don't know, man. It's a little weird, man.
He's the veteran, right? But only by a year. But
it's the kind of answer you give when you're talking about like the opponent, and you don't want to give the opponent too much credit. So you're like, oh, like they're pretty strong from top to bottom. You know what I mean? Like,
this is
everybody on that side. Exactly.
They could win 6
everyone,
championships,
1 through 5.
and I will absolutely ask this question. Yes, I absolutely will. You know why? Because it's so. When you like a person, John, what do you think of Jimmy? I love Jimmy. Friggin' funny dude, great guy, brings a lot of energy, personality.
No, John. Everybody on the show is like that.
What do you think of Jimmy? You know, I like a lot of people. That would mean I don't like Jimmy.
You know, people in general are great. Just people.
People. I like people.
They're all great.
I like podcasts.
Jimmy's a person.
Yeah.
This is not hard, guys. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
Yeah,
anyway,
man.
basketball talk,
Weird.
Bobby. Jumping back in onto the basketball side of things. Any developing opinions as you were in talking to these guys, or other thoughts about the series in general as it goes forth? We talked about small ball being forced into it. I'm not going to do the Cornette thing, but did you like the small ball lineups that they were forced to play in his absence?
Absolutely. They went plus 11 in the first stint, and it wasn't that long of a stint. They were only out there for a couple minutes before they put Horford in the first half. And I saw Dick Light put out that it was the biggest plus minus in the playoffs for the Celtics for a guy who played that few minutes. I think he was like a plus 13, right? Or plus 18, something like that. So he made an impact out there in those minutes, and they needed it. They needed the switchability. They needed to be able to cut off Indiana's speed on the perimeter. You saw it over and over again in game 1. Whenever they put a big in action, they were just flying by those guys. And it's great to say that you want to trade off 2s for 3s. But at the end of the day, you can't have a team with this Pacers shoot like 70% again in the first. And then, they're slowly waning that down as the game went on. And it happened when the Celtics played smaller. And you can do it in this series. It doesn't matter the Siakam's out there. It doesn't matter the Turner's out there. I know Joe was saying that the substitutions are what scares him away from that a little bit. And you saw it in the first half when they sent out Siakam and Toppin and Turner and went triple big. Joe pulled Brissett right off the floor and put Horford right back in. Just play to your strengths.
Yeah, well, I like the fact that he was saying how right after the game, this was sort of something that was planned at some point down the road. Maybe not tonight, but they were kind of forced between, Luke Cornette getting hurt and just having to mix things up. So I like that he had that in the back of his mind, because we've talked about it before going into the series. Like, that could really help these, or at least try to stop the bleeding, so to speak, when the Pacers are going downhill, when you got their second unit in there, and someone like Brissett or I was a big guy. I was a big fan of the Xavier Tillman, but this is even better in the sense of helping these guys during transition defense and just making sure that someone like that is ready for when his name is called. And I thought he showed that he was ready for sure.
Jimmy, how much of the game did you watch?
Like
fourth.
just barely. I wasn't able to catch a lot of the game tonight, but I did watch a lot of the show before I jumped on, so I feel like I've seen the whole game. So that's what you guys do for us guys who can't catch the game. We just watch the post-game show.
Nice
I kept
promo.
up with the stats. I know that Tatum had a really slow start to this game and then kind of padded some stats there in that fourth quarter. So kind of annoying to see him not really come out firing in this game. But and Jaylen Brown, I've obviously heard you guys talk about him plenty. Second game in a row where he showed up where he was needed. He's really been showing up all the playoffs. He's basically been their MVP of the playoffs so far. I think most consistent. Certainly tonight, dropping the 40. I know he says it doesn't bother him, but it does bother him that he didn't make all NBA teams. And that definitely was part of, I think, coming out tonight and just playing with the chip on his shoulder. And by the way, I love that. I wish that guys would play with chips on their shoulder more often. I feel like Tatum doesn't play with the chip on his shoulder. That's the problem that I think a lot of people have.
Shoulder chips. We need more shoulder chips.
Missing that FU mentality. Jaylen Brown literally says FU out there tonight on the podium. I think a lot of people want to see that from a Tatum. They want to see like the middle fingers to the world and just go
And he
after
tried to
it.
hold it back. He tried to hold it back at the last question. He finally let it slip out with the IC
Gary got
players
him.
half as talented as me get praised.
He
so.
tried.
And listen, I think he was
tried.
snubbed.
He showed discipline on the first one and said, I don't give a fuck about it. And then at the end, he said, I do give a fuck about it. Yeah, like, and that's fine. We like that.
Right.
We like
Yeah,
it.
and you have
Gary
a couple
got the
guys
goods.
there. It came down to Halliburton, Booker, and Brown, right? In the voting, at least. And you look at Halliburton, engine of that Pacers team, certainly, and a great passer, great all offensive player. Same with Booker. But you don't give Brown enough credit for the defense and the way he's had to fit into a bigger team by just going off the points and the assists, which is basically what they did with Booker there and Halliburton. Like, yeah, you can look at Brown's 23 and say, all right, that's worse than Booker, worse than Halliburton. But plenty of people voted for Brown, and that's for a reason. It's defense, it's fitting into a elite team, and just overall the secondary role he has next to Tatum, sometimes primary role on this team when Tatum doesn't have it, like you saw tonight.
Well, it's the team. It's not just that. I mean, an elite team, but it's the best team in the NBA. It's being consistent. It's no drop-offs after the All-Star break. Like there was a stretch where people were like, wait, what's going on with Halliburton? Like what, did he lose it? And then, yeah, he's picked it up in a big way throughout the postseason, but that's not what these awards are about. It's about the regular season. So, yeah, I think when you think about it in that way, it's sort of like, well, wait a minute, how does Jaylen get stumped here?
I would have left.
If we're just talking about just between Halliburton and Jaylen. It's like, like how did he get the, you know what I mean? How did he get the benefit of the doubt?
I would have left Booker off and put Brown in with Halliburton.
What happened to Halliburton? What happened to Halliburton?
I think Halliburton's the one left out, if you ask me. But,
You can't. I would have left Halliburton off because he missed time and was
He was progressively worse.
He
as the
wasn't
season-
even
right.
his second half.
He had that stretch
his
after Christmas, but then after the All-Star break, sorry, go ahead, John. But yeah,
his second half after the injury, he wasn't 10th team All NBA. That's what I mean. It's like the drop in his play is so profound. That to me, I'm surprised Booker was 15th in the voting and the one he was chasing.
Yeah.
Booker again. I know Phoenix sucked, but I mean he got what Brown got to get him second team all last year. 27 points a game to go along with 7 and 5. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, the numbers are there. I mean, he's a bucket machine. Booker's awesome. It's just Phoenix sucked, but nothing against Booker. He's amazing. He's amazing. Halliburton
Phoenix sucked. You don't deserve two guys.
Yeah,
I mean, but that's not how it works.
especially
though.
when one of them does not play as
what happened
compared to Jaylen.
That's not how it works. You're not always penalized just because you don't have better players on your team. Like, you get acknowledged for being a great player whose stats are sacrificed because your team is good, but you don't get penalized for being awesome and your team being a 7 seed or a 6 seed. Like they're awesome. Say they were 2 superstars, like there's nothing you can do about it. Durant and Booker were awesome. I don't begrudge the Booker. The Halliburton makes less sense. And the and honestly, if you're going to nitpick, I'd go Sabonis rather than Booker. I know.
Sabonis is unreal. You just don't watch him enough.
So if Brown gets in there, I would have put him in over Halliburton. I would have put him in over Halliburton for sure.
He had a Jokic season for sure, so I wouldn't have left him out. But you could go Booker or Halliburton.
You should have been also.
Yeah. We're gonna play this one more time because people were asking to hear the questions, and so we'll play the questions out. We'll reassess this. This is Jason Tatum.
Let's break it down.
Jason Tatum and Bobby's questions. We're going to break it down. Here we go.
And big, but his voice, becoming more vocal. I know, in one of the games you struggled early in the playoffs, he was like, Jason found his rhythm. We got to see him find his rhythm even more. Has he kind of been in your ear for a lot of this playoff run, motivating you and pushing you? Like, what's his voice been like for you and the team?
Yeah, I think it's important for every guy in that locker room to speak up, right? We all respect each other, and that comes from trust. We see the work that everybody puts in every single day and the growth from, whenever your first year here was until now, the growth and development of every single guy. And we have that environment where, everybody has a voice from the top guy to, the last man on the bench, right? We all in this together. You need to encourage somebody, do so if you see something that we're doing wrong.
What the hell are we even talking about at this point?
How does that help you when a guy like him does?
I didn't do that. It just clicked off. We lost it. The follow-up.
The follow-up. It was just basically but
Jaylen compliment.
Talk about Jaylen though, specifically how good he is, and it was like, well, it's everybody.
Specifically, how does Jaylen? He said we have all.
But Jaylen specifically,
all 15 guys.
No, and it might have been because I mentioned the voice. Like, it wasn't about his performance. It was about his voice. So, like Josue said earlier, that might be a concept of everybody having an equal voice there. But, again, you're asking about one specific guy. So, I don't get the soliloquy about everybody on the back of the bench who's speaking up.
Yeah, it was just as weird on the second listen. Again, is it going to derail the season? No, but it's weird.
And again, it got cut off there, but following up, it's like, all right, what does he do for you? Like, what's his specific impact on you? Yeah.
Let's get the follow-up. Let's get it. We got to get the follow-up.
It's all right. The chat doesn't
It's
want
a
us
good
rocking
tease.
the ball. You guys are going to get
tune in.
Brown is going to leave town if you guys keep doing this, okay? That's what I was told. You guys are going to make Jaylen leave.
If he leaves, it's your fault. It's this exact conversation.
Boston media.
You guys are going to drive him out of town. These were to turn this car around. That'll show you. Whatever. Anyway, Bobby, I know you weren't in on the Pacers stuff, but the Halliburton thing, we talked about it a little bit. Look, we saw a game already this year where Halliburton went out. That was the original hamstring injury. It looked like he tore everything in his lower half. I mean, that was, but anyway, that was that. And then they absolutely coasted, played down well below their level of competition, let the Pacers come back and win that game in what was one of the more annoying losses of the season, albeit a meaningless one, but annoying as hell. I mean, if Halliburton's out here, do you see any chance Indiana wins or the Celtics let down and kind of let them steal one or make this a series out there?
I mean, they have a good system to do it, but the Celtics haven't let down with Mitchell out. They didn't let down other than the shooting night in the Miami series with Butler out, and they certainly didn't let down once Hawkins went on top of all the other guys who were out. So they haven't done it this postseason when the other team's star's been out. You definitely need to be alert against this team because, again, you rest and they're going off. They have a positive plus-minus with Halliburton off the court this year. Again, thanks in large part to what Siakam's doing right now. And he's on fire, Josue.
Yeah, he's going off.
You still got to be fearful. I wouldn't be picking the Pacers to win a game where he's out, but I'd still expect it to be close throughout like this game was, I don't think there's going to be any runaway games for the Celtics here. The Pacers are just going to keep moving, keep chasing, keep producing. I know Andrew Nembhard got banged up tonight too, but if he's healthy and he's ready to fill in for Halliburton, I still feel pretty good about them competing. But if you can't win with Halliburton, you're probably not going to win without him.
Yeah, especially with no Mathurin. I know people haven't heard that name in a long time, but like that's the kind of offensive weapon I feel like would really help this team if they had to go out there without Halliburton. But without both of those guys,
I can't believe this is happening again.
I can't see it happening for the Indiana Pacers. I know the Boston, basketball gods bless this team, or I don't know how people want to look at it, but one way or another, like not having to face the opposing team's best player.
But you know what this is going to do for the narrative,
however
right?
you want to word it. Here we are again. What's that?
You know what this does for the narrative again? It's like we're going to have a lot of angry, disrespected Celtics fans because tomorrow when Halliburton's ruled out for Game 3, it'll be like, there they go again, the friggin' saddest, easiest trip to the finals ever, and everyone's going to get mad as if it's not true, but it is true. Yeah. If you lost your best player if the best player on the other team in 3 consecutive series went out, and then the best player on the other best team, in the East, potentially Milwaukee, was out, and like the Knicks had like 1 player left. Like I don't know it's a weird playoffs right now, and the Celtics should thank their stars with the health luck they've had all year, and they take it. Who gives a crap how you get there? You just want to get there.
Mute whoever you see tweeting that if it's bothering you, because you'll take
if
this
it
any
bugs
day
you,
over
ignore
losing.
it. But don't. But
and you know what? You know the best argument I've heard against that, John.
And we lost him.
John got so fired up, man.
John raged so hard.
I think he just ran out of batteries.
His computer was like, "Whoa!"
What were you gonna say? I was gonna
turn this guy down.
If that makes you angry, I think the best argument is the Celtics have been hurt in this spot. They've had key guys out in this spot previously. Brown in 2021. Rob goes down in 2022. Last year, it's Grant, Rob, and Tatum in a Game 7. So you know what? You've been on the other side of it before, so it's your turn to benefit from it.
Yeah.
But you still got to go out and play the game. You still have to go out and play the game. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter what benefits you may have with other teams' key players being out, you still got to go out there and play your ass off and win the game.
That's why they play the game.
The Celtics have done that. Yeah, I mean, and the Celtics have done that. They've made the most of every opportunity and advantage that they've had. So good for them.
I'm the captain now. Funny how the tables have turned, huh, boys? Just like that. Just when you thought.
Hard head, Jimmy.
We're not doing Pat's talk, man.
Let me ask the Twins this. Is Brown getting to the point now where you rely on him more than you rely on Tatum?
No, because he's still going to get that same attention from the defense. I just think if you want to say he's capitalizing off of that, okay, a little bit of that going on as well. But I also think it's just a matter of every game is going to present different challenges. Not to sound all Joe Mazzulla on you, but I just think that's how you have to look at it, especially when the other team is losing a big guy like Halliburton. I mean, it's not official, but I'd be really surprised if he's able to play in the next 24 hours, which is when Game 4 is, or at least around that time. I'd be really surprised again because that's the same injury. That's the same injury that had him out all those games towards the end of the regular season or in the second half.
Bobby,
John's back.
John is back.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the injury there. I think it's like you said, you feel out a game, and that is the one thing I'll give Tatum credit for tonight. Is he felt out the game where Brown was at and deferred to him, especially through the middle portion of that game after a slow start. You'd like to see them both have great starts. Yeah, I think so. He hit him for that. Yeah, he hit him for that corner
everyone
3.
Ignored Tatum. Yeah.
Yeah, he hit him for that corner 3. He was letting Brown initiate the sets at that point. Who knows where that stems from? It might just be Brown taking that initiative. But either way, it worked. And you got some good passing sequences to the middle portion of that game, too, here tonight. You still feel a little ISO heavy with what you're doing here. But that's their style at this point. You're either going to win or lose with that. Like, they're not going to be tossing the ball all over the court like the Pacers are. And honestly, they haven't done it all year. They've been a great turnover team, but that like fly up and down style and hand off here and toss it over there, it's kind of killing the Pacers right now because they just keep turning it over. And that's destroying their chances of staying in these games. So you've been the better team playing with pace in this series. And I was a little wary of them playing the Pacer style, but they are doing it better, and Brown's a big part of that.
Well, we said it earlier. Like, I know, not to go back at Jimmy, but like the whole like don't get in a track meet. We said it last game. Like, it's really hard to play slow against this team. You have to just go, you got to do what you got to do here. So it's fine.
I think what I meant by that, John, is just you can't treat it like an all-star game. You can play fast, but you got to play defense.
Totally. Yeah.
That's really what it is.
They did, and then that third quarter, I think, especially there, and I think that was a difference. They were swarming, they were switching, they were they were cheating, they were helping, they were closing off driving lanes. Like, they were really, you saw glimpses of them being difficult, to play against defensively. But again, it wasn't a sustained effort. But I mean, Indiana's going to get what they're going to get here. And you're gonna feel good about this overall defensive performance, holding them down a little bit. Guys, we're gonna wrap it up here unless someone's got a closing thought. Jimmy, I want you to lead the way.
I have a closing question. I didn't see a lot.
Jimmy's just getting started, bro. Yo, Jimmy, we're standing out here, just so you know.
Yeah. You guys get comfortable. This is gonna be a Gary Washburn long length question.
Damn.
I love Gary. I can say that.
It'll be a two-parter.
For somebody like me who didn't get a chance to catch all the game, what was the biggest difference?
To recap it for you?
Not quite, but tell me what the biggest difference was that enabled the Celtics to win by such a wide margin compared to game one. And is that pretty much it for the series now, just based on what you guys saw tonight? Is it over? We're not even going to give Indy a chance to play at home. It's pretty much over and done with.
Should be, but I mean, we'll see what happens in
Indianapolis. What was the difference though from game 2 to game 1? Like, what was the biggest reason?
For me, the rebounding and the defense, just overall, all hands on deck type of approach, especially with cleaning the glass, second chance opportunities. I mean, they got like what 9, 10 in that
10 in the first half.
In the first half, misses. So like just the gap between the two teams, I honestly didn't think. I mean, I knew that's a big part going into the series, but I didn't think the Celtics would out-rebound them by such a significant margin. And it felt like all 5 guys were cleaning the glass. I mean, Al almost had 10 by halftime. So yeah, I just think that was a big part of it. And then just seeing the game play out the way it did in the second half, Jaylen going off, everyone just sort of doing their part. Derek White, Jrue Holiday, I thought they were rock solid in the backcourt. It was just a lot. It was overwhelming for the Pacers, if you ask me.
Yeah, a lot of the same stuff, but small ball and defense and rebounding, as he mentioned, they make a big difference.
Nice.
Anything else, Jimmy?
Backs my dogs. No, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, word.
Thank you for your wisdom.
All right, Jimmy, we needed you. Needed you, buddy. I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, I'm glad I can make it. Listen, the hard hat's got to come in.
He came in hot. That was good. Yeah,
if they didn't pull a W tonight, I'm probably not making it on this show. But
can we count on you for a Saturday 8:30?
I will be there.
Would have been raging.
All right.
Lost this game.
I will be loud and proud Saturday night from right here, the loft, ready to go. So
the loft.
Hopefully see you boys. Hopefully see you boys on the show too. Are you guys traveling? Is there traveling?
Yes, we are.
Love to see it.
A little bit of traveling going on.
I'm here. We may get
make our return. Make our return. We were out there for All-Star, and now we're back.
Indy 500 as well.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
going to be that weekend.
All right. Hey, thank you guys for joining us. Some things were said, some feelings were hurt, I'm sure, but we will go on. We love all of you equally. Okay, it's not about any one of you guys in the chat. It's every one of you. You guys are all great.
What do you think of Blorp, John?
Equally great. There's a lot of guys out there that offer a lot to this chat. I can't do that to Blorp. I love Blorp. He's one of one. Okay, that's how I answer the question. Okay.
Wow, what a guy.
That's how I answer the question.
Take notes.
But take notes, buddy. But yes, thank you guys. We love it. Oh, this is a good way to end it, guys. We've gone
Appreciate
this far.
You guys.
Wouldn't be a night without that.
Shout out to Josue. It's 364 days until his birthday. Officially.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's after midnight.
Nice.
Wow, happy birthday.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy, let's hit the talk. Bounce play.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Josue's
Appreciate it.
24 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Growing up. Growing up.
Damn.
Everybody.
Well, Celtics gave us a
has
win. Celtics gave us a win.
Get yourself a birthday
good.
beer after this game.
Is he old enough to get one now?
I think I'm good. I think I'm
Officially.
good. I'm at the point where when they ask my ID, I'm flattered. So, but thank you.
Damn.
I appreciate it.
Old man Josue.
Is that what's your skincare?
Time flies,
routine,
right,
man?
Sherrod?
You got a pretty good skincare.
I guess so. All right, John, wrap this shit up.
I'm trying. Somebody wants me to. Somebody wants me to
Sherrod's
answer
going
a
Jaylen.
ridiculous,
Cursing up a storm
ridiculous,
ready to go.
a ridiculous super chat.
Sherrod's ready.
Sherrod, I've always told you, you can just blip out.
I don't want to.
Wait, is this the part? Is this the part of the show where everyone's just throwing in super chats? You have to get them all up. Is that what it is?
If we have permission, I'm going to do it. See ya.
Okay, bye. Walk off.
Bobby with the walk off. An outro for us, I think.
No, he doesn't.
He said he was going to work on an outro.
He had a phenomenal game.
Phenomenal.
Forfeit's out. I think it's an option. That did not sound like a chair.
It was a freaking chair. It does sound like a chair.